Ah. Good morning. 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 Anyway, hopefully today doesn't have interruption. Sorry, I'm giving you a text now. Interruption. It's already having interruption. Hopefully today doesn't have 50 minutes missing. But I have an idea about where that 50 minutes went, and I hope it was taken seriously by all who I addressed, as I, admire the woman running past the window. She's attractive. I can't help it. If there's a beautiful woman, I'm not going to whistle at her though, but I am admiring her, whoever she is. I don't know who she is. It's not like she runs past the window every day when I do this. That would be weird, wouldn't it? I like seeing it though. I like seeing movement of people. Makes me feel calm. I feel a bit shitty today. I feel yucky because I had 3 fucking mid-strength beers, and it's like I'm just allergic to alcohol now. It just is. I don't like. Like, I liked the first sip of the first beer. Everything else I didn't like. I can feel like my stomach feels yuck. I feel massively depressed, and I'm not shitting you, from 3 mid-strength fucking beers. Had a terrible dream about one of my children and woke up like crying. It's like this. Obviously, alcohol, pretty fucking serious drug. I've been self-medicating ADD medication, which again is not great either. The best by far is weed, is cannabis, but that makes me address all these things that nobody wants to address, and everyone wants to just keep the party rolling. And whatever. And I'll just continue to do this. So yeah, alcohol. If alcohol plays a big part in your life, it's never too late to take a second look at really what that is, and don't just be in the habit. But yeah, all that aside, I'm going to talk about. I've come up with this morning a way to kind of theorize what I think's going on with a huge amount of people right now. There is a baseline. Basically, there is a World War III going on, and there has been for really at least 3 years. At least 3, probably 80 years, but really intensified in the last 3. Yeah. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, okay. And it's just that we're using all these different types of war. And so in a way, you could say it's World War III for 80 years, intensified in the last 3. Or you could say that we're, as a species, recovering from the atrocities of World War I and II, but we're not, we're also introducing some new war tactics, in a fog of war situation, and those tactics are really having massive negative effects, and on the whole, so we're like fucking the whole human species is constantly under attack by itself, and so I'm going to map out the true telling, that you can't teach. Basically, it's like you can't teach primary school children this. And so this is why this hasn't been explained. And as I said, when I do these videos, it says, is this made for kids? And I'm like, no, it's not made for kids. It's made for adults. But until adults understand it, they can't stop or do anything about it. So we're told, now it's called the 3 Fs. But what are we told? So when we're under attack or stress, okay, it's this, isn't it? Shannon, everybody knows there is fucking only 2 Fs when you're attacked. And that's fight or flight. Fight or flight, right? Let's put a big dot there and a big dot there. Fight or flight. Everyone's pretty familiar with these two things. It's either run away or fucking slog it out. And my whole life I've done, I'd say probably 50-50 of these things. This is this. I'm fighting. I'm fighting right now with my words. This is the base description of what our parliamentary system is. Something that we're radically, in this country and a lot of countries, uneducated in. Now, I'm going to open up the gates of hell by introducing the little forgotten F down here. The forgotten F. Of the world in the trifecta of human responses to attack, because it's unspoken. It's like Voldemort, for lots of reasons. But considering everyone's an adult here and we're in 2025 and we've really got to get a hold of this, we need to start discussing that third F that hasn't been discussed. Now, there is then a weird thing going on as well. The reason that, because these 2 Fs are consistent in all humans across the board. This F down here has a extreme bias. So it is extremely more prevalent in one particular gender. And so it's not a consistent species-based response. Or is it? There is a murky, muddy water situation down with this third F. And because I've got you all in suspense, and if you haven't guessed what it is, it's F-U-C-K. Oh, of course. And it's like, I wonder what I don't get to see a reaction. Like if I was, speaking to a group. I have to guess. Part of my fight to, adequately actually address the world without fucking rose-colored glasses on to try and fix it. And I need to speak about all the things. And this one is not being spoken about. Because this has been majoritively a female strategy. But that's a false telling as well. So say we break this down here, this third F in half. If we estimate that we've got roughly 50% of the population men, 50% of the population women. When women utilize the third F, they have the option to, it's like, it's both. That can be fight or flight. And that's probably that's why this third F is murky, because it does then get absorbed in these two. And that's basically, it's like, if you're fucking a guy to try and fight another guy, which happens all the time, then you are fighting. If you are fucking in the act of flight, of retreat, you are submitting to rape, basically. But this is not just a female thing. It's like when we're coming out of a paradigm where being gay was literally illegal. Okay, and we've done it, we've moved a lot. And it's like, I'm not saying anything by anything. I'm trying to map out a terrain here so that we can fucking actually, I don't know, get to some type of level of something. And so within that, if it's like, if your fathers and your grandfathers were in a world where being gay was illegal, then the fight, the third F by men to fight, is illegal, right? Now we've got to start getting to a point, it's like, why? Well, obviously, because a bunch of gay guys are going to kill everyone. Inevitably. There is a power, like, it's the same thing as like trans women in sports. It's like, yeah, if all the gay guys and if all the men turn gay, we will enslave everybody. We would. And it's like, I'm not even gay. So, but it's like, that's inevitably what would happen because there is already a power dynamic. So women's use of the third F to fight has been allowed. And all of this is mixed up to do with like cultures, people, traditions, religious laws, all these things. Like this is all what's going on. Now, I'm constantly stuck in this. Now, I'm fighting with my words here. Remember, I'm not talking about physical violence. I'm fighting by speaking. And I'm constantly under attack because I'm trying to expose it. Like, this is a fight. And so sometimes it's like within a fight, it's like sometimes you're fighting and then you either feel like you're winning or losing, and that may push you into flight. Or into fucking. But why? Where is the stress coming from? If the only way my fight or my fighting is manifesting is by speaking, and if we identify that I am speaking majoritively to women, and majoritively those women are all participating in the third F to here, right? Now, I'll admit that I'm doing the same. But my third F at the moment is a female, is F. Are you keeping track with this? This is complicated. And it's not to do with fighting. It's like a little, it's more like defense and distraction. And like, it's whatever. But it's not attack. It's not fighting. This is my fighting. It's in words. And so basically, the largest fears, the fucking paranoia that would have been coming inevitably from the world when homosexuality, and I'll say like mainly between two men. Lesbians, okay, yes, lesbians have been discriminated against, but it's because women are discriminated against, and two women are going to be discriminated against, but they're not. So they're kind of celebrated by men. So that's fucking complicated as well. But there has been a concern because of this third F. Now, that's what's happening with the discrimination towards the trans people. I am exhausted because our political system is failing to put me in the right place. It's supposed to do that. It's like that House of Parliament is supposed to work like a magnet. And I've been there and I've left something there and I will go and get it. But it's not working like a magnet. I've had to go above and beyond and outside of that. Now, that may be particularly because of my family's story on this land. And it's, that's what I've resolved to. But for me to enter, so I'm under attack by the country that we built, my family built, by the people that have been offered a easier and easier and easier go of it. That doesn't mean they don't have their own heretical baggage, family baggage. But here, everybody's is getting a better go at it. The problem is that with all that, you're attacking the people that built it. And we're not in a period of like feudal lords where it's like, I'm using, as I said, the only the fighting I'm using is my words. They're not absorbing me into their system because they are trying to break me out of it. They're trying to steal the country. And it's like, or they're trying to buy the country, basically. And I'm saying, well, yes, but you have to pay for it. So I've done, like, there's a million ways I can do sums to work out exactly how much Australia owes me when I leave. Now, what you've got, it's like when my family got here, when they paid to come here and start building the country, to manage convicts, to manage settlement, to do surveying, whatever particularly they were doing in relation with the whole thing. The total free, so non-convict population of Australia, when my family arrived, was 200,000 people. Okay? 200,000 people. There were convicts as well, but free men. And I think it's now there's like 24 million people here. So it's the total assets, property assets, business assets, defense assets, the total value divided by 200,000 is what Australia owes me when I leave. And that's got to be the way it is. It's how it's always worked. And if it doesn't work, then there's something really fucking bad going on, really weird going on. because we're not. It's like the equivalent of, see, we're talking about the discrimination against homosexuals. Okay. Well, who was really enforcing that? And the only answer is women. So women's equality has always depended on preventing homosexuality. Because it's kind of like, it's not like, I don't think it's like in the fucking ultimate homosexual paradigm. It's not like women die. I think women get concentrated to harems, basically, or slaves or peasants or whatever. So the story of women's equality, it's like that narrative is homophobic from the beginning. And again, I don't have a horse in any race. I am trying to map out the territory. This is why we're getting so confused with all of these things, because nobody is taking the time and the patience to actually explain all these things out. And we keep adding ingredients. When I was like 4 years old, my mum left me babysit by my older brother. He fell asleep, and I decided I would make a cake, and I got every single ingredient in the whole fucking kitchen, including spices and everything, and put it in a cake and then stuck it in the oven. And the whole house almost burnt down because I filled the whole house with smoke with me burning every ingredient in the oven. You know, this was one of my many exploits, along with like pissing in the vacuum cleaner and, you know, smashing my baby brother in the head with a spanner. It's not because I'm evil. It's because I was without supervision, responsible supervision. And that's where we all are now. But I suppose the one thing I had is I did have my father constantly telling me, it's like, if you're not going to get supervision, he instilled into me, it's like, you have to learn to be responsible and supervise yourself. Now that's a lot for our young men to carry, because there is a harem emerging. Whose harem? You know, that it's like, so what was I doing there? It's like, it's the same. It's the 3 Fs. I don't have that I know of any, you know, any of the 3rd F in my childhood, thank God. And so for me, it was the 2. It was fight or flight. And I learned to fight with my actions, to insulate myself away from culture, to like critical thinking, to challenge authority, because the whole thing is held under attack. Every citizen is held under attack. Now, men specifically, when say there was a patriarchy, which, if we think of, you know, the height of like the pre-World War I, you know, pre-industrial, it's tricky. It's never like the Renaissance, whatever. It's like we get to a point where there's some type of patriarch. Those men looked amazingly feminine. Like if you got one of those people and dressed them in modern clothes and, you know, ran them, they would look like a woman. That's what I believe is happening with the trans movement, which has been captured by gender ideology. It has nothing to do with gender. It's basically the English manifestation of responsible, civilized power. It's like that's our. If you think of like a Maori warrior, and this is it's just this, we don't get taught this because we're taught a destructive concept about colonization. It's like if you take a Maori warrior, an African warrior chief, like, you know, Thor, any of these things, it's like, yeah, you get like an English, you know, long-haired kind of dandy, like strolling around using his like that's our warriors, like that. And it always has been. And we did that because we worked in harmony with our women. But it's like the way we did that was there was, I'm guessing, like there was homosexuality kept in check by discipline, and marriage kept in check by religion. And it just was lied about. And there was an order because of the supervision, the responsible stewardship of young people was a kind of a sorting box of men and women. So we put the gentler, the fairer sex, as you know, all these things that we speak of and take with it what you will. We direct them towards feminine activities. And it's from that position that they felt entrapped because they were protected. Our attempt was to try and, like, women were directed to a place where they're not being exposed to the original, to the attack. They were protected from the attack, so they didn't feel the need to manifest the 3 Fs. Then I'm guessing once, because the women are they have the most dramatic effect on the culture. So I'm guessing in the height of, you know, civilized empires, we were doing a very good job at keeping a significant portion of our women in a state of calm, like, but that was then, even at that was then recognized only by those women, not in dialogue with all the other women. They didn't all have a global female committee, and women weren't really participating in global trade, global war, global commerce, global politics, anything at this time. And it was those women that then self-identified their protected thing where they weren't being exposed to attacks, weren't being stimulated into the 3 Fs. They have the innate 3rd F as a biological instinct. And so that can be the only... So women initiated an attack through the 3rd F to fight from a place of protection. And that's why inevitably, now I haven't participated in this. That's why inevitably what happened, we have to remember that the homophobia, the discrimination against homosexuals was the same. There was a combination. It was between the men trying to put the women in a position where they weren't under attack. And to do that, the women were concerned about the homosexual urge. If it was kept in check, you know what I mean? In systems like military and schooling and you know, apprenticeships and unfortunately this just, it's not like we now have a bunch of gay people. It's like there's always been the same amount of gay. It's just they hid it in these different things, and there was different types of relationships. Now, within that, because we've gone to a completely sexual economy, The term like grooming is because we don't have the disciplinary structures of education, apprenticeship, or military that filled the role to kind of keep the male interaction like driven rather than being kind of it's like keeping the men apart to keep a direction going. But we have issues with this when we're not united as an empire or of a people or of a, and you can get to like race. It's like, unfortunately, race plays a part in this whole thing. The British Empire, when my family came here 180 years, it was a united project. It was for the good of the entire empire. You know what I mean? Which at that time included, it was like the whole thing. It's like the sun never sets on the British Empire. This is what I'm talking about. Now, the telling of it is just, everything is false. It's not like what's trying to happen now, because there is a pushback by a feminist movement. The feminist movement breaking out of their gilded cage, the suffragettes, and it's like, it's not their fault. It's this. We just need to have this dialogue. And we can only say it one way. They've broken out of a gilded cage, you know, at least in our determination as men, free from any, you know, threatening whatever, but perhaps restricted in their flow, out of preservation. This is like, I'm just a girl living in captivity. That, you know, no, 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 no. So the women want it out because they wanted to fuck. They have an instinct to fuck. Right. And so they did that. They got out. They broke out of the gilded cage. They either fight or, you know, flight or fucked. And then the response inevitably is because they will inevitably distribute. There was concentrated power in an empire. They distributed power to, like, basically back to tribes, to tribal. This is why I say every grandmother is a tribal leader right now that has fucked her way or fought. And it's like, you know, it's like, you can't use it and then not acknowledge it. I'm not yet saying whether it's positive or negative. It's kind of the next move. Then they've liberated the homosexual thing, falsely blamed that on men, despite it being present the entire time and kept from women. So they've taken full credit for liberating the poor, discriminated against homosexuals, and they're building the British Empire that was built on discipline, trades, skills, education, commerce, law, these professions that would have, all of them had some fringe level homosexual interactions in them, all of them. They've turned that all into a supermarket for sex from the opposite gender. Clearly, provably, this is what Tinder is. This is what OnlyFans is. This is what, like, Uber Eats is. This is what supermarkets are. This is all of the things. So we have female utopia, and then we're sitting, and then the females come and go, well, some of the boys are wanting to be girls, and that's because it's like, well, yeah, because you built a sexual supermarket. All the women coming from this, like, elite, they're already elite. It's like in the global sense of it. They're just third effed their way to this, and they're not owning up to it. They're not participating in this the fight through our model of parliament, of discussion, of dialogue, because they're not under attack as long as they don't acknowledge it. So it's mass avoidance. It's like, this is our system. You have circumvented it. You have escaped your gilded prison, or your grandmothers did, all of you. And you have third F'd your way to this. And you have been successful. We do now have a sexual supermarket with our skills, our defense, our legal, our education, all in absolute chaos and tatters. And you are now selling our grandchildren on the global market so that you can see out your last years without acknowledging a very, very already feminized fight of the verbal sense. This is, men fought with swords, women fought with their tongues. So Parliament was established by an example of a feminized man, many of them, who combated feudalism, combated the king. And this is where it's like, we don't want men in women's sports. Well, it's like, well, we've been telling you that when women enter our sport of Parliament, they will third F their way to fucking, Babylon Coles and Woolworths. And yes, that's what we have. And so it's like the three Fs under attack. How can we be holding in such a vast region, as I say, from the southern tip of Tasmania to the northern tip of Scotland, in my heritage trajectory, like migration, bloodline, all things, where we're in a conflict between almost every man is kept in under constant attack in their 3F paradigm, right? Myself, really, the only way I've used the third F is for like recuperation, and it's kind of like, it's like a flight. I use the third F for flight, basically. I've thought about it. I've thought about particular women in my family. I'm like, maybe it's like, oh, these Western women, these European women just aren't cutting it. I do need to go find, I'll go find an African queen. Do you know what I mean? To fight my battle for me, or even better, so I'll find an Aboriginal queen, and then we're all really fucked. And I don't mean that derogatory towards the thing. It's like, but that is the way of the world. It's like, my family's been here for 180 years. The only real thing that would be responsible here would be for me to go and find an Aboriginal queen. But it's like, what comes from that? Because I'm using speech. So I'm keeping it in dialogue. And the only way that every single person putting the attack on me is combating it is with this avoidance. Because it works. Because at the moment, this just is holding for them. So I'm being held under constant attack by a completely avoidant global female community who are, see, it's like when I think of these young men trying to be women, I'm like, well, yeah, don't blame them, hopefully, whatever. But it's like, with the women trying to recruit them to just fight men again. This is what this anti-trans thing is. It's like, we've got to understand it. Don't be swept into this. It's all avoidance. It's like we have the Alexander the Great, female Amazonian, war bride empire right now with no leaders, because women cannot pick a leader. It's like distributed power. It's like, yes, we had that. It was called tribalism. Yeah, it doesn't end well. It's like when the one. What did I do yesterday? Gangs of Oz. It's like, man, well, that's tribalism. That's feudalism. So we have a government that has hijacked Magna Carta and is instituting feudalism. And then I'm just here like, hang on a second. I know the full story. We've already done this. My family did this 450 years ago or more. Already brought it here. Yes, our colonizing is like, well, yes, because tribalism is always in conflict with civilization. But it's like the minute you're contracting police or using courts or using envelopes and letters and stamps and crests and every single symbolic representation of our parliamentary system created in England under Magna Carta, then you have to understand that it's at its core, that was a defense against tyrannical kings and of tribalism. And that is what manifests to the peak of civilized society around the world of these very feminine, male, political, cultural, musical, artistic leaders. And so it's like, it's not trans discrimination, it's trans indoctrination by the whole system. It's like you're trying to, our warriors of our civilized martial art of the tongue, speech tongue, not anything else, although everything else is being attempted to be genocided by entitled, tribalized descendants whose forebears escaped their gilded cages. And then also in conflict, those same entitled women that escaped their gilded cages were also, holding entire regions of women into submission to appease that. So it's all complicated. They'll say that we weren't doing that. We were in gilded cages and the men were conquering whatever. It's like, well, we were conquering in lots of ways. I have not taken up arms. The Australian Defence Force, the United Kingdom's Defence Force, is a defence force. We are preparing to defend our empire. And within that preparation, we take on board like the systems of discipline, of responsible, of education through the same thing. We hold, and that was why we had things like no, fraternization between men. It's that old thing, it's to keep. It's like men, whatever, there's that. If we keep it separate, it's like we get to a better place. And I do worry. Hopefully I'm still here. It's a mistelling of the thing. And I think most importantly, if I take this grandmother class, right, of elite, tribalized, grandmothers living, in the UK, in Ireland, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Canada, in the United States, this will be present everywhere because we do all have a common connection through. We are living in the model of Magna Carta in different manifestations. They are not prepared in any. They are not sufficiently qualified in any of the attributes that would be required to actually support their tribes. They're not. It's like my mother isn't a tribal Aboriginal person. She cannot, actually lead anything. She cannot actually participate in a dialogue discussion of this. She cannot start a fire. She cannot, find safe water. She cannot do any of it. She perhaps could have been if she wasn't interfered with by the medical industry. So it's like, that's where I'm claiming that this is a polygamous system by our federal government. There's the harem. She's in the harem of the federal government, and that is not what we built. And it's not really, and it's like they all are, and it's a constitutional thing. It's the basis of what Magna Carta. It's like those types of things were going on. I can't remember what they called it when there was like first rights by kings and things like that. So say right now there's a discussion going on about Andrew and his 40 prostitutes. I made a joke because he's defending something. He's under stress and he's living within this old system, and that doesn't mean he's great. He's probably a piece of work, whatever. But you could also joke and go, well, he was supporting all those young girls and to fucking get education, do all these things. And that, he's conflicted and the world's conflicted. But it's like, well, Anthony Albanese has the largest harem on earth by democracy and avoidance. And because they are not actually representing tribal leaders, they're representing harems. And the trans men that are being wheeled out to represent, this utopian thing, they're not the hyper skilled, hyper focused, hyper, trained warriors of diplomatic discussional combat. They are eunuchs to some degree to act as security guards for the harem. And then, but then it's like, and then we have a bunch of, say, like married couples from that same generation, that same boomer generation, or Gen Xers, who aren't doing a good enough job because it's like, well, they're in the same position. They are under attack. But it's always avoidance. And this blows up our whole thing. Because it's like, if I say that this avoidance, this constant attack on me, I've been under siege for at least 3 years, but it's like I was born under siege. It never stopped. So this is the model. It's like attack the children and then avoid. And it's basically right now, it's like if I can be sent to jail for sharing a photograph of my family and trying to speak about this with the accepted paradigm, accepted model of acceptable discussion and diplomacy. And we are dealing with, international relations here, and religious relations and governmental political relations, historic foundational relations between the country. Then why can't I enact the same laws on, say, like supplying alcohol to minors? When I say I had 3 beers, I feel worse than I've ever felt. Alcohol killed, had played a huge role in killing my brother. It really stole my father away from me, and it's almost killed me. And then we get to a thing. It's like, well, say we're in a conflict with Islam. It's like that's one of Islam's foundational elements. But the problem is, it's not, oh, the British Empire are all boozers and the Islamic world don't drink. It's like we've got a hangover from World War One and World War Two, and everybody landed in the pub. They landed in the bottom of a bottle. My grandfather, my father's father, barely drank. He is the patriarch of my paternal line, that he's the only one that lived. He's the last one that lived in the pre-World War One, pre-World War Two world. And that's right. I can see it's like basically like steady as she goes, steady as she goes, order on the, because they were all following their ancestors. Like they knew that Parliament was this and they had this in the family. They were doing this stable, responsibility, discipline, duty, what's it called? Restraint, all these things. Wonderful. World War One, right? Still came through it by the sounds of it. Still holding up the thing. Yes, kind of protected in a way because at the time they were in Hobart, but Hobart, you can look at that two ways. You can look at it, well, they were safe down there, but you could also look at it as though, well, no one would notice anything down there. So that it's actually somewhat of a larger threat. A smaller population. It's like, you could have got a whole Russian fleet could have gone down there at any point. And that's when you walk around, you read things, that's what they were worried about. And that could have been, would have been a great time in the fog of war for somebody to try and recapture Tasmania. And this is what's happening now. But I just send a message there and they seem to be correcting themselves. So there's World War One, then my father's born. And then, my father's born smack bang in the middle of the Depression, and then World War II. Those three things, they're the first form of globalization. It's in the title, World War One, World War II, the Great Depression, the Global Depression. They're the first ones. Like that. They're really unique. They're really different. They were far different. And we have been permanently traumatized by our own technological horror. And so, my father took off. He ran around Malaysia and Singapore and Christmas Island and landed here. And then pursued a life, but there kind of, there just was too much drinking. Marry someone 16 years younger than him, and then he gets fucking ripped off, and it all just vanishes because he's running, he's fighting a losing battle, and was probably out of either like shame or disappointment or fear, put under attack really by the world. Also, a little bit shielded. That time, there still was quite a patriarchal force. There still was a structure. There was a thing. So shielded, he just didn't take up arms really, like I am, because it landed on him differently. So he kind of avoided. So it's not like, I'm not saying, oh, this is all my mother's avoidance or this is all the female avoidance. Like my father avoided it. He avoided it by alcohol and just going along with it because the threat, he was shielded. The threat he was playing golf. He was kind of drinking. He was like, and that was his model. But I land in a very different world and I'm experiencing it very differently. And this is what I've had to do to really get to terms with both of my parents' avoidance of the key issues and the world's avoidance and the world's distraction from all of these important issues. And when we get to the stage where we're talking about total annihilation of our entire civilization. So say there's a problem. It's like, well, yes, you send out sons to war. It's like, well, we can still run them through our disciplinary thing of like our defense forces, just with a higher, like we can direct them to more positive projects in the world and still maintain that structure that we had. In our political, we can do the same, but not if self-preservation by people that are playing the false paradigm. If they don't recruit and fill their parties and whatever seats and lower down systems, government systems, state and local, with the actual people, with the warriors of the word, or the warriors of then that's avoidance. And the same with business. We need to have business like the same thing. And this was done by apprenticeship. And this is kind of a lot of it. I think when people go, because I have a trade, they're like, you're a glass fixer, you're a glass man. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm the equivalent to like a master builder, because I have oversight over the entire thing. And it's like, that is a female observation of what I do. And it pisses me off, to be honest. It's like, I remember when I said about starting my business, my mother said, well, why don't you just go mow lawns? It's like, because that's insane. And that's the version. When I said, I'm going to go and start this business, and my mum said, well, why don't you just go and mow lawns? That is the exact same thing as like, I'm going to do this. And they're like, why don't you just cut your dick off and become a girl? And I think we're settling down to it. It's like, when I now have to admit publicly, I'm like, well, yeah, I've seen some of these like young trans people, from ages like, I don't know, 20 to my age. And I'm attracted to them, but it's like, I'm kind of going one further. It's like, yeah, I'm attracted to them as men. I'm attracted, and it's like, because I'm attracted to men with long hair that are feminine. And it's like, because that's my culture. But because I have children, and also I didn't know, because I was like, I wasn't closeted. That's a weird fucking thing to say, because our whole empire was closeted. It's more like, I would joke about it. I would say like, oh, I'm not gay except maybe for Johnny Depp. I used to say that when I was young, and that's kind of weird because Johnny Depp's a lot older than I was. Do you get what I mean? So it's closeted, where I suppose is what you'd call it. But it's not. It wasn't like an ultimate desire. But then because I have children, the same as I have a protective instinct over young women, it's the same with young men. I'm like, it's like, and it's weird. It's like, yeah, I have, whether you're a young guy, perhaps trying to appear fucking huge and doing steroids and fucking covering yourself with tattoos and fucking, or like working your ass off, I feel just as much responsibility to kind of help those people not get caught in that thing. And it's the same. It's like, they're all men, whether they look like a gorgeous girl or whether they look like a tattooed fucking, Harley Davidson riding savage. It's like, they're the young men of the country. They're the young men of the empire. And the same with the young women, whether they're, the universities like cramming from any race, creed, religion, color as well, whether they're, in the university cramming in the library to try and enact political change, or whether they're on OnlyFans. It's like, they're the young women of our country. And it's time to start having the appropriate conversations instead of being led into conflict, into attack and avoid. Because that's the worst. Like, my attacks are distributed. Very distributed. It's a new person, it's a new concept, it's a new thing every day.
anyone who takes it extremely personally, that's because they're majoritively living in avoidance, and they're avoiding the fact that they've done anything to deserve that attack. And it's not actually an attack; it's an exposure, and it's done by dialogue, which is like, well, this is obviously not being taught, and especially in Australia. I think it's like Australia is a far more physically imposing, violent place. I made a joke because some Chinese person got bashed in Tasmania, and I said, I'm happy to speak to the consulate about the dangers of Australia. And it's like, we talk about the dangers of crocodiles and spiders and snakes. It's like, Australia is a place filled with angry, men whose fathers and grandfathers are recovering from the two craziest wars ever and trying to figure out this crazy world. And it's like, and that it's dangerous. We don't have a total control, technocratic fucking control system, because we don't want it. We will reject it. We are not Chinese. And so, yeah, it's dangerous. And so in turn with that, it's like, it's dangerous to delude young men into thinking that they will be protected if they ultra feminize. So the only way that those young men are going to protect themselves, if they do choose to ultra feminize, is to gather up in a group. And so there's things like, it's like, we don't need, it's like with the trans thing, it's like, put on a license. It's like, if you do decide to acknowledge yourself as trans, just don't worry about the gender. It's like, if you do that, you put that on your license. If somebody hurts you, it's a different crime. It's not male on male crime, because that's the female paradigm. That's what, when women say we don't, and I agree. They, in ultra specialized sports like swimming and fighting, individual sports, yeah, it's just a silly thing to say. Well, of course, but that's there's then that's the 0.000001%. The 99% is, there is an innate, unspoken truth that there is it's like, if we say we had tomorrow, we had our what's the Black Lives Matter guy's name? I can't remember his name. If we had some 15-year-old girl raped and murdered, in the streets of thing, and it was projected around, we could be in, we could have a type of crusade, never-ending, absolute chaotic fucking conflict on our hands. That's the power of the media that a lot of people don't understand. But that's happening to young men, young feminine men, who are our potential leaders within our potential parliamentary. It's like, it's not sport. It's like, sport is frivolous compared to this. And yet there is actually a cry of well, yeah, probably deserved it. That still exists. And so it's a mistelling. It's like the homophobia, the discrimination towards homosexuality, coming from, say, the British Empire, that we all are being sold as this concept. It's like, all right, that's not true. That just isn't fucking true. It was a particular type of homosexuality that, because it was in the dialogue, was over-policed by a bloated class of public servants to keep themselves employed. Because from ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greek, Rome, all these things, all the way to British Empire, all the way to whatever we are in now, there has never not been homosexuality, a crazy amount of it. It's the barbaric homosexuality. It's the It's the over the top thing. And this is where, like, we all kind of, if you're my age, you've grown up through a paradigm. It's like where we've been celebrating gay and all this thing, and there almost is like there is a license, or there has been a license for this, because it was like, yeah, as long as you do it there and you keep it to yourselves, rah rah rah, it's there. And we were told that we were evolving, because we were told that it was completely illegal and it was discriminatory. It's like, and that is not a total telling of the truth. I'd say like whatever percentage of the population of men is homosexual throughout the entire British Empire, throughout the entire like Roman Empire, the previous empires before that, that has always been present. It's just that it was a different thing. It was kept through discipline, restraint, honor, duty, responsibility, in a different paradigm, because it was kept in a container of monogamous heterosexual marriage. And this is where we get the jokes of like couples arguing. It's like heterosexual relationships are they're like a nightmare. It's like 50-50. It's like they're 50%, especially when there's children. It's like 50% of that relationship is a fucking nightmare. There's kind of an imposed duty and responsibility within it. But what we're not being told is that, say, like, so I guess this is where the female thing was of them being, you know, rebelling and escaping their gilded prisons. Because, say, we just take men. I reckon it's maybe a three-way division. I'd say 30% of men were monogamous and truthful and dedicated, and that. So like 30%, you know, loyal, good. You'd call it loyal, but that's weird. I don't mean, it's like they're playing by the rules. They're in a monogamous marriage with a one woman, and they did that and they lived their lives. Then 30% of men were in a monogamous marriage, were having mistresses or affairs or prostitution with women. And then 30% of men were doing that with men. Probably usually in a evolved way that was to do, it was almost like what we like playing tennis or something. Like it was like a part of this thing. But it was like secret, I think. And I think it's like that these two, the secrecy, because it's like all men were in it together. It's like we tell the story of monogamy, and it's like this 30% guy here who's fully monogamous and wasn't having sex with men or women, is just his wife. He's the one that might be like, he might have some other fucking thing. You know what I mean? He might be like mutilating fucking natives or murderous or not. And that's a bit mean as well. It could be that it could be drugs. It could be something positive, I suppose. And because like these were positive relationships. It was how our like sexual economy worked. And it's because men unchecked and unsupported and undisciplined, all these things, have like a ridiculous, it's like 80-20. It's like they have an 80% chance of becoming absolutely undesirable to men or women. And so that's the culture was attacking those men. The women were kept in gilded cages, or they were being attacked because they were poor or different, whatever. And that was all present. I'm not saying this is all perfect, and this is a true telling. But the men were being attacked by their culture, which had an 80% likelihood of fucking those men up and making them completely undesirable. So because they were in this, they had the threat. It's like, fuck, fight, or flight, run. And this is what makes the world tick. It's like it was the men, migrants, flight. A migrant on their own is flying from attack. With a family, they're fighting with flight. Do you get what I mean? And it's protective. And with fucking, it's like women doing that. It's all like none of it's really bad, but all of these things have just been told. We've been told lies about all of it, and we are degrading to something where we have nothing. We don't have a structure of preparatory education thing, and part of that is it's like I get to say this because I've never been a teacher in anything in a school or a tertiary education. It's like, well, in tertiary education there is now no fraternization. It's like there's a super thing. They just put a wall up. You can't do it. So like realistically, that was a huge part of that. And it's the same with the military. If you take someone like Mountbatten, it's like he wasn't the anomaly. He was doing what everyone had done for all of time in his thing. And it doesn't always end in horror. And it's the same with women. It's like all of this is just. It's like we've become prudes, puritanical in our acceptance of behavior in the real world, but then we've exaggerated it in our spoken environment, and that is just like we're cranking up both. It's like, and I think there's always a conflict between, desire and restraint. But now it's like we're being hammered by both. It's like we're in both worlds there, like just full volume, and all our structures of stability are being eroded in the process. And so basically what I'm saying, so I'll end this. So I wonder if this is going to be recorded. It'll be unfortunate if it's not recorded like yesterday. But oh well, we'll find out in a second. Basically, as I find myself in this condition, within this triangle, I don't see a way forward. And this is held within my own personality with a thing like shaving. So it's like the majority of my life have not shaved my face or my body. I was massively hairy. Because I've now at least recognized, so I was oblivious to this attack. I've now recognized it, and I've now mapped myself out. I've triangulated my own position within the world. If I allow hair to grow on my face and my body, and I look at myself in the mirror, the way that attack the way that I go to fight changes. Now, it's probably like this is a psychological tool that I'm using to regulate my behavior. And it's ancient, but I'm regulating in Australia, and Australia is not settled. It was, and somebody has unsettled it. And Australia is rejecting its culture that it was birthed from and is inviting in barbarism. And so I have 3 options under this attack: fight, flight, or fuck. And it's like every man in this country has these 3 options right now, because every man in this country is under attack by barbarism. Because there is avoidance of dialogue. Sometimes I swear, sometimes I yell, sometimes I speak of horrors that I'm constantly bombarded with. I've been told of the horrors. So my attack is always seen through the lens of the horrors of my ancestors' recent history. So I'm being terrorized and have been since birth with these tools. So I am, going to wield the same tools to defend myself. I'm fighting like this. But there is an avoidance from our entire political class, from every single person I've identified, from the media, from everyone, to do with this. And so I have no choice. I have to, it's like, I can't stay in this, because it's not going to go. You're not picking up the words and the diplomacy. You keep putting pressure on the fighting physical. But that's not my culture. It's like, I can do it any fucking time. But I'm doing it. I do this to prevent chaos. It's like, if I'm all this fight, all this passion to do this every day, this commitment, if I it's like, if I go, and I've been like savage, I've been a version of savage, a year or 2 ago, like savage, because I'm in a savage land. I can do it. Yeah. I can go full fucking Alibaba, fucking Ragnarok, whatever, and lead a fucking, horrific, ravenous, savage fucking conquest. But that's not the part of my history, of my whatever, that I'm landing in. So I have to go to the UK. And then Australia will be what it will be. But at least I've left this here, which is more than most other people have done. So I can't tell. It's like, yeah, I don't know. And then it's like, also to do that, I then have to re-enter or go back to an island that my family left 180 years ago. So I have to completely submit every single last fucking drop of that savageness. Now, this is the weirdest part. That, to me, well, right now, it's like, if anyone saw me or heard me speak and they were like, and this is why this trans thing is just ridiculous. If someone was like, "Oh, he's trans," I'd be like, "Well, no, he's not." Yeah, because I'm not. That's a false telling. But unfortunately, the true constraints, the true reasons all these things are manifesting, I know, and this is because of this. And so the only way I can return in an acceptable manner within this and not be constantly, feared, because I don't want to be feared. Like not in a savage way. I'm dealing with a savage land. I'm dealing with a savage, situation. The only way that it's like, I don't, well, and it's like, I don't really know, but to me, it's like, I have to aim at actually a woman. And it's like, I wasn't, like when this happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, I wasn't exposed to women, extremely well-dressed, elite women, from that wouldn't swear in corsets and all these things. I've been exposed to the degraded sense of women. And so, man, this is where it's really weird. It's like that. So it's the same effect, but visually, it manifests way different. And that's what's being attacked. So they're seeing young men attempting to be feminine. They're not recognizing it. Those young men are attempting to be feminine because that's what we've been doing in the British Empire and all fucking empires for a long time. It's just that their manifestation is becoming more sexualized because the women have been more sexualized to appease the supermarket economy that was built by the women's liberation suffragette movement. And so it's like, well, yeah, I agree with you. There shouldn't be men who've trained to be swimmers who then are transitioning to be women swimming against women. But swimming in a swimming pool is not really all that important. These things are way more important. And so when you are seeing men manifest a very like young men, and this is going to get more difficult for everyone because it's going to keep getting worse. And it's not like it's all good to pick out some awkward, whatever trans, especially, and it's mainly men because people love punching down. They love, finding someone who's vulnerable because it's sending off a false signal of vulnerability. And so they're the ones being wheeled out. See, basically, the most vulnerable people displaying this phenomenon are being attacked to appease the female avoidant paradigm, basically. And that's not going to be what's going to happen. They're going to get manifestations where they completely reject the container of the ideology, of the treatments, of whatever. There's basically just going to be incredibly sexy young fucking men who are incredibly sexual, projecting I'm not talking like Bon Jovi. I'm talking like Pamela Anderson young men. Okay? And this is what is going to happen. Now, I'm not that. I'm almost 40. I'm almost 40 years old. I might have to aim there, do that, like stumble, fail, and miss, and then end up in a fucking top hat and a suit. I don't know. A top hat and a suit compared to a fucking, 6-inch beard covered in tattoos. It's like, that's the same manifestation of men. So we shift the whole thing towards that and we turn all the women into hypersexual Bratz dolls, which I didn't do, but I've been identifying and commenting on since I was 15. Then it's like, unfortunately, that's going to manifest as like incredibly sexual, and young men are already more sexual, but it's not the offensive, barbaric, two fucking muscle bound fucking gladiators fucking in you get it? And that's nothing. I'm not throwing anything because I actually think it's like that's a false thing. It's like that's just scary, but it's probably like there's probably guys, huge, massive guys that are gay that they're not just sitting there. Maybe they do just sit there and fuck. They love fucking, but it's like they're probably also like in love and all those things. That's all fine. But it's going to push the limits. Like AI is going to push our limits. It's like these manifestations are just going to push everyone's comfort level out of the thing. And I just know more about it. I've done more research. I've done more study, and I've exposed myself to try and really understand what's going on, to try and balance it, because I've been a father since I was 20. And that coming from our culture is almost as rare as as a unicorn these days. And it's like, yeah, I haven't been the dad at the footy because, although I would have liked to, I haven't been the dad, playing the video games and like, it's like, because we've got some really big fucking things going on, and I've got a weird fucking history, and I've got a weird whatever. And yeah, so that's my explanation. And the other really odd thing, because I do particularly have what for the last 6 years, I would consider like a quite major, like I have been experiencing physical disability to do with like pain and whatever. I have a severe head injury, and basically like I'm not trying to play a victim here, but it's like and a really, really dodgy, fucking really kind of abusive upbringing, like a systemic abusive upbringing. Everyone was like, my mother was okay, but she was kind of she was a victim of this, industrialized system of abuse, and she submitted to it. And that's the thing. It's like that's the F through flight. It's like she was raped, maybe not physically, but although probably. I'd say there's a 90% chance my mother was raped by these people or people within this industry. And it doesn't matter whether she was physically raped. She was psychologically, emotionally, and every way that you can do raped. It's just that she submitted to it, which is a vast majority of women will do that to save their lives. So it's like that's the paradigm. But the physical, after opening the door to this feminine thing, it's like my entire postural chain has changed. I have not taken hormones yet. I'm in the process of considering whether that would be an option to perhaps, and it's mainly to appease. It's like if I get a signal that there's an admission that I'm on the right track and that everyone's kind of listened and there's this, but they're scared because I, sometimes use these things. It's like, I'm quite happy to go down to attempt that female hormone thing and go that way and take that pathway. You know what I mean? And then hopefully whatever. But it's like when we're in the middle of a fucking massive discrimination against this, a mistelling of it, a misunderstanding of all the things, then it's like, well, or I can just as easily fucking boost myself up with a big load of fucking test and, do you know what I mean? And start swinging fucking fists around. But I don't see us getting anywhere like that. Not to throw any fucking thing on people doing that, because certain people live in certain environments where that is their only choice. They're under attack. They have the same things as fight, fuck, or flight, and they've got family that they've got to look after. So, and it's like they see that, and they rightfully so. I'm not basically going like, I'm going to take female hormones. Who wants to rape me? Do you know what I mean? It's like if someone tried to rape me and I was taking female hormone, I'll cut your fucking head off, and I'll cut your entire fucking family's head off. And it's like that's. People aren't getting the thing. It's like if this trans thing, it's like if you heard of you've got to start thinking it's like, oh, a trans person raped and then killed his rapist. Yeah. Celebrate that. The same as if a woman did it. Do you know what I mean? And like the likelihood of a trans person killing their rapist is probably 80% higher than the likelihood of a woman doing that. So if you're going to celebrate Wonder Woman and you're going to celebrate thing, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe they shouldn't have been in swimming, but they're your allies in the female world because they do possess the things of the male world. They will be the ones by design, whether it's man-made or whether it's the aliens or whether it's fucking whatever, to combat toxic traits manifest in the retreat from our civilized ways and examples into barbarism. And I'm guessing this used to be held, say, on Great Britain. It used to be held in London. It's like and France. This was the thing about French. So, and I think there was trade between the French and the English, and the French had developed. If they were the far tip, touching off into England, and then there was a weird, almost like balance held between France and a feminized European balance between England and France, almost like a dandy tiff, a tiff between two dandies, where they're like, and this is, think about it, like the silk scarf. This is what we were. Yeah, it's really easy to go, look at this poofter with a silk scarf. I'll blow his head off with a sawn-off shotgun and ride off him. It's like, yeah, no shit. But is that a better world? And it wasn't like, oh, the faggot with the fucking silk scarf has everyone else enslaved. It's like, that wasn't true either. Who would be enslaved by a faggot with a silk scarf, really? They kept order. They kept order by feminizing themselves, organizing their structures, and then, participating in like kind of poofter fucking verbal stoushes with the person from the other side. That is the majority of our conflicts. And the problem is, perhaps a stereotypical version of gay men. It's like, yeah, if those two feminine men at the tops of their whatever couldn't make agreement, then they would have a big glorious fucking poofter fucking, naval war or a fucking military thing. But that got to a monstrous level with World War I, World War II. And it's continuing into a monstrous level in the ethereal plane of our new psychological warfare and our chemical warfare and biological warfare and sexual warfare and fucking, degrading terrorists, sabotage and all these. It's like all of that has to stop. And as there is no one here responding, I'm participating. I'm the fucking feminized man with the silk glove doing this thing. But I will be expected to continue to feminize in order to be taken seriously in Europe. In Europe. Okay? This is what it is. The manifestation of, say, Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron, it's like, who's in charge there? Well, probably Brigitte. She's the senior one of that. And if she is a man, she's a beautiful fucking man. And she's French. It's like this. It's not, you don't get to fight Brigitte Macron with a fucking crowbar in a back alley. Do you get it? And so I can't have a conversation. I'm learning the ropes. I'm trying to figure out the way it goes. But I will have to do the same. And we probably have other manifestations of this, hidden within our pop culture, but it's kind of a secret and will probably continue to be a secret. But that's what is going on. And Australia is like, we've held up our end by being this kind of rough and ready for like the fucking, the bushranger fucking archetype. Okay, I will celebrate that. I don't want to lose that. But we need the pinnacle to represent the height of the British Empire and not the pit of its degraded state. Do you know? And it's like, in this day and age, I'm sorry, if I do feminize, I might reject it. So I'll either look like a pretty feminine, pretty boy, whatever. I'll have to go that way. And then that will just change. It's fixed my body amazingly. It's like whatever. But that could also manifest as like a woman. Like a kind of, it's like a head mistress kind of sexy fucking librarian, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. But it's like, I might have to go, sometimes I have to go to like Pamela Anderson to fall back to like something, because Australia has, like, I was raised in quite a violent, quite aggressive culture. And it's a little bit like method acting, except that it's not. It's like that's method acting is like, yeah, it's the same. You're in a play. It's like, except this isn't a play, and so it's like, I actually have to do it. And so basically, the thing is like, if I now do this, and this is kind of, I get a sense of that there's a blessing towards it. Basically, it's like there will be no physical fight with anyone because that's ridiculous. We're not in that stage. I have 3 years of quite sufficient content as a man in all manifestations. All of that is open to absolute mockery, ridicule, and criticism by any man in the most masculine, ferocious way. You can rebuke and fucking attack and discriminate and mock and do that as a man. I will not. You know what I mean? I don't care. And that's what it's there for. If you want to address me as a man in a male way, with all the swear words, and you fucking call me whatever, all the names, everything like that, you threaten fucking it, it's like, do it in response to anything I've done. But then this is where we're going to now. And I have to, or I'm thinking that I have to do this. Like I'm right now on the fence. It's like whether it's a hormone thing. I've already had such a benefit from playing it, from trying to, from whatever. And then it has to be a hormone thing. And I don't know what. I'm not condoning it. I've put a lot of thought into it. It's not. I'm not trans. I wouldn't refer to myself as that. It's like I have run out of road on my testosterone journey. I have been restricted from being able to stabilize my situation in alignment with my endogenous hormone supply, more than likely disrupted by violence and trauma and all these things. And it's not so much as like, for me, I see it as a 50-50 route. I am going to attempt to experiment with a female hormone instead of a male hormone, because I am certain I know what will happen. It's like, because I'm under attack, because of all this tension, all these things, it's like I cannot now elevate my testosterone. Even if it would have an improvement on my muscular and my recovery and all these things, I can't do it. Like it would be incredibly irresponsible. But then I do feel kind of I'm like, ugh. And that's mainly because there hasn't been an adequate response from Australia or from anyone that I'm attempting to have dialogue with. Yeah. So I'm being hurtled out of Australia. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I respect that, I suppose. I should be paid. It's like you get paid at the end of a job. And I'm leaving quite a lot of work, and my family's leaving quite a lot of work, and I haven't been paid. You attempted to kill me. You attempted to steal every single thing from me. And so I will be paid whatever I am due. And then to land in Great Britain on good terms, it's like I'm taking these steps to limit my aggressive physical manifestations and also language. And I'm attempting to, I feel like I'm across the board now, because all of this is, I'm trying to work out my interpretation of all this, which is what really everyone should be doing. I'm feeling confident in this, and I will then also treat this experiment, if I do decide to take this with these hormones, with the same level of care and caution that I do with anything. And I will document the whole thing, and I guess we'll have to see. And I hope that that's, if I get, confirmation of that I have the blessing of the king and of William, and it's like, yeah, I'm playful. I've played around with all these things. I hope I haven't offended anyone. It's really complicated. My intentions of returning to England is to return a story that I think needs to be told, and to try and balance out these conflicted phenomenon and ideologies and find some middle ground and a true telling to bring back order. And yeah, that's any other type of modification is like, no, it's like a hormone thing. I'll see that. I don't have really any other desire to do anything else. And I think basically I lived my peak adult life through the height of World War III, and it was touch and go. It was 50-50 to what we needed, whether we needed aggressive, violent fucking, barbarians, or whether we needed that to be focused through the feminine, kind of the feminized diplomatic version of that, because we're surrounded by war. I'm now leaning toward, I think that perhaps with the amount of commitment, the amount of work I've done, my commitment to at least attempt this, to walk into it, will perhaps will reflect outwardly and perhaps have a positive impact to the state of warfare, of global warfare, the acceptable state of warfare globally into the future. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So thank you for listening. If you listened, I really hope it's there. Birds flew by. Kind of tells me that there was. And yeah, onward and upward, and let's start politely discussing the intricacies of our wonderful empire. You should feel ownership on it. Something that can do this is quite wonderful. All with conversation, all with symbolic representation, all these things, wonderful. So it should be celebrated. It doesn't mean you throw away the Australian flag. It doesn't mean you throw away the English flag. It doesn't mean you throw away the Scottish flag. It's like, this is just a moment of awe. I occasionally have a moment of awe where I'm like, wow, this is this glorious thing. This is what people speak about. This is like the glory. The glory of Rome. It's like, this is the glory of the British Empire. I think they used to call it Old Glory. Maybe, I don't know. It's glorious. That doesn't mean it's going to be utopia or perfect, but to be held, to hold something like this in dialogue is glorious. And that's why we're doing it like this, in response to the conversation between Putin and Trump. And I'm confident in the way that this will progress. And you're probably all a little bit curious. I'm like, I wonder, he might get really pretty if he has the fucking test, if he has some fucking things. Who knows? I'm sure it's going to weird everyone out. It's going to weird you all out in lots of different ways. And it's probably going to weird me out. Yeah. But it's really no different than, it's like Ronda Rousey. How hot's Ronda Rousey? It's the same. It's like, that it's like, there's nothing wrong with fighters, physical fight, like boxers, and they were my. There was points where they were the only people I could relate to. And I still hold, and I hope I can bring that intensity to this pacified diplomatic process And I have strict personal disciplinary procedures to restrict myself. And this is kind of one of them. Well, this is an attempt. And I'll see how I go. So anyway, I'm talking too much. But yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I wish you all the best.